I think we all can clap. Come on, it's fun, right, to do that. Krish, you can unmute yourself and do that. It's really fun.
Clap.
No, it's just the
Thank you.
energy when your hands clap together, the energy that comes out. I think that's what is more important. I really miss the physical meetings because of this, because the sound that gets created, the entire vibration in the room,
Absolutely.
the energy that gets created, it just gets you into the mode, and then you don't want to think about anything that happens in the world outside. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to meeting number 33 of All Elite Advanced Toastmasters Club. Even though we are right now 8 members on my screen, I am sure we are going to be much more as we move on with the meeting. And yes, on the dashboard, we are much more in numbers as well. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. Certain rules for the meeting: please ensure that you have all your noise making devices either on mute or your mobile phones put upside down so that you don't get distracted by any messages. If you have to move in and around, we request you to turn off your videos. However, we would appreciate if you can be always on videos during the entire meeting. Why? Because let's respect the speaker. And it is all the more fun when we have our speaker speaking on the stage. Let him see our expressions, even if he's not giving the best of the speeches, which is not going to happen. Don't worry about it at all. So today I'm going to ask a fun question. Yeah. Okay. So should we just put a spotlight on our guest here? Krish?
Why not?
Okay. So do you have any funny incident? In 30 seconds, you have to answer, and timer is going to time you. Do you have any funny incident in Toastmasters that really made an impact on you? And that funny incident was something wherein you made a fool out of yourself.
Oh, yes, indeed. In fact, so I'm a charter member at Hyderabad Toastmasters Club. And the reason I got in there, as in the reason I went in there to attend a meeting, was because I got an invite from Vidya saying that come for this meeting, it will be great. So Vidya, girl's name, I was like, I have to go. I reached the spot and there were 4 other guys. And I asked all of them, why are you here? No, we got an invite from Vidya. And eventually Vidya comes in, and that's DTM Vidya Shankar. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, nice. No, we are all in this interested in communication. Of course, we came to it. And that's how I got started. So that's how it is.
All right, welcome to Toastmasters. And that is why they always say, whenever you hear a name and if it sounds something like feminine, please ask whether it's a guy or a girl. It has happened with me so many times, so don't worry about it. Now with this, I would like to hand over the virtual stage to one of our most smiling leaders. I am awed by the fact the way she is leading the team right now, the way she's always invested, even though she is miles apart, and even though there is a huge difference in the time, she always ensures that she reaches out to you personally, she communicates to you, and she's always available, and she's leading the team with perfection. Please give a huge round of applause to presiding officer for the day, Girija Deshpande. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sapna. It has been so amazing to listen to that. Amazing. Who doesn't like anybody praising you? You feel happy. Absolutely. So, yes, I'm very far off, but my heart is all with all of you. It is a beautiful opportunity to connect with everybody. So Toastmasters is something that is not just building our communication and leadership, but it makes us the best version of ourselves. That is the beautiful quality that I have learned from Toastmasters. That is why I'm here again after a gap, actually. So thank you so much for touching that chord today. And just now, the question that you asked, Krish, and the way he answered, immediately I told Sita, does it ring a bell? Because the moment I heard the name Sita, I thought it's a girl. And then on he comes and then he speaks. And then I know, oh, okay. Generally, men are very particular that the name doesn't sound feminine, but he loves to be called as Sita. That shows his confidence, right? That is amazing, Sita. Welcome to Krish. I have been after him to join at least in some meeting, because I heard him in one or two meetings at Spedley's and Hyderabad, and I really loved the way he did his language evaluator role. So thank you so much, Krish, for honoring that invitation. He's extremely busy, and in spite of that, he joined. Thank you very much. So over to, before I move on, any other guests today? I don't see anybody as of now. Anyway, the most
Naveen.
important thing that I have learned is we don't stop laughing because we grow old, but we grow old because we stop laughing. So when my grandchildren crack a joke, I'm laughing. When a neighbor comes and tell a joke, I'm laughing. Or even if they're not saying anything, sometimes there is something funny to be laughing. And then people say, oh, people should be laughing when there is no reason. But I feel that you can find a reason if you are somebody humorous, and you can find a reason to laugh at yourself too. So over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thanks for inviting me. And I came to know from a link that the meeting is going on from your club group. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm currently in Singapore, District 80. And I'm also a member of clubs in Jaipur, Rajasthan, which has become part of your district now. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Toastmaster Girija. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. If you're wondering, was this the way, anybody has to laugh? Actually, that was the mode of communication of our ancestors. Besides the grrr, which you would have probably seen on movies, typically portraying the way the early men used to sound. And early men also sounded ha ha ha, ha ha ha, just to express their happiness or laughter. Humans actually laughed before they spoke. The lung strength of language, you need to use so many muscles, including your lungs. The lung strength of language was developed millions of years later. So initially, their mode of communication, besides showing anger and other mechanisms of showing their expression, whenever they wanted to show happiness or smile, ha ha ha, was the mode. I'm sure you all know that within 17 days, a newborn child laughs. Because the very way we have evolved as humans, the mechanism of laughter is so ingrained in our brains. Actually, children born blind, and some of them, unfortunately, born deaf, they still have the ability to laugh. One of the famous professors of psychology and neuroscience, Robert Provine, he made an intriguing observation on laughter. Using a team of people, they have done a thesis, and he actually came up saying that laughter is not tied to humor. Surprising, definitely intriguing. Their team did a study on around 1,200 laugh episodes. And what they discovered was only 10% of them generated a joke. This is indeed a ha 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 moment for us. Only 10% of those 1,200 generated a joke. Surprising, isn't it? What he went on to say is, the laughter is dependent on actually the bonding function between individuals in a group. So if you're a bonded group, you probably would have laughed for at least 50% of those episodes. So very interesting and sort of a finding or a research, I would say. Let me actually give you an example. Of course, I have to make this disclaimer, or I should say this is a fact, that I did laugh 17 days old when I was 17 days old or even younger. And the phenomenon of laughter caught up with me so much that one day when I was squatting, probably 8 years old, and sitting with some bonded individuals, I hope Professor Robert would be happy to hear that I kind of aligned to his thesis. There was some sort of a joke that was shared, I guess, and we all burst out laughing. So much so that I was swaying my head up and down like this, if you're able to see my movement on the screen. And as I was squatting and the joke got on to me that I ended up hitting my face on the floor. And sorry if this sounds very personal, but still I'm happy to show. You see the teeth? That was the front teeth that I missed. I broke the teeth, the upper teeth. I should say that had it been in place well today, I would have posted a competition for the Amit and the Salman, of this era that we have. But it's okay. I just laughed it out as ha ha ha. All right, coming to today's meeting, as we move along, we will definitely on the theme of ha ha ha, we will explore the famous comedians who have made us laugh. This includes cartoons and living artists today. We will kind of make it more interactive. I would probe you for some participation as well. Looking at the way that today our meeting is structured, we as a club, we run our session typically in 3 parts. One is the prepared speeches, the second is the table topics, and the third is the evaluations. Being an advanced elite club that we are, we have designed a few of these sections, in fact, all of these sections, I should say, slightly differently. I would let the key role players, when they come on, explain the subtle differences. In order to help me conduct the meeting today, I do have a team with me who would be playing 3 different roles. Let me first call upon our first role player, who would be our language coach. May I call upon Toastmaster Nirmala Menon, please? Spotlight. Fantastic. Okay, but before I let her explain the word of the day, I did ask her this question related to the theme. So Toastmaster Nirmala, the question to you is, describe your favorite comic character, it could be cartoon or real life, and one unforgettable, hilarious moment in your life, be it professional, it could be personal, which helped you to move on because of that comic nature of that moment. Over to you, Toastmaster Nirmala.
Thank you, Toastmaster, Toastmaster of the Day, Seetharaman. My favorite comic character is Mickey Mouse. I grew up watching the series, reading books on Mickey Mouse. He's little, but he's huge in intelligence and action. And this one unforgettable, hilarious moment, I don't know whether it has, but it has definitely given me a different perspective. So the moment is when I kept some prawns, we non-vegetarians, I prepared some prawns. I had kept some aside for my son. My daughter, who was very young at that time, she loved prawns. She saw me keeping aside these prawns. I believe sometime during the day, she went into the kitchen and she ate all the prawns. And then she comes jiggly wiggly and with a very cute face, she told me, Mom, it was very delicious. I ate it all. And she laughed out loud. I laughed with her. What I learned something that day was when we are children, there is no barrier. Whatever we do flows with the moment. I wonder, when did we forget to live in the moment and enjoy the little pleasures of life? This was what changed my perspective that day. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much.
Seetharaman.
Thank you so much for that interesting person. I do like Charlie Chaplin myself, been a great fan of him, and then the hilarious moment that you described. Now over to you for the word of the day.
Thank you. Thank you. As a language, I would like to explain my role as a language evaluator. It is my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers, listening very carefully to whatever language they use. I will make note of any misuses of English language as well as record usages of outstanding words, quotes, phrases, or anything that I really liked during the conversations. As the language evaluator, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. And for today's meeting, the word of the day is comical, goes in with the theme, which means amusing, especially in a ludicrous or an absurd way. The sentence example for this would be: a series of comical misunderstandings took place in the annual event. Each speaker is encouraged to use a word of the day. I will mention the word of the day and its sentence usage in the chat for your convenient usage. I'll give the word of the day report and grammatical usage report when called for. Over to you, Toastmaster. Seetha.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Nirmala Menon. So the word of the day is comical. Encourage all the participants today, the role players, to go ahead and use that. Let me next call upon our second role player, our timer, Toastmaster Akshay. I did ask Toastmaster Akshay a question.
Falgunan is here now.
Falgunan. Okay, so sorry about that because we changed it just before we started off. Fantastic. So Toastmaster Falgunan, the question that I had also asked you was describe again your favorite comic character, could be cartoon or real life, who times his or her comedy to perfection, and any specific reason behind why you would be liking this artist. Over to you, Toastmaster Falgunan.
My all-time comical character for the person has been Charlie Chaplin. The beauty being no word or anything is spoken, but the body language and gestures with which, with precise timing, uh, it creates a laughter. That has been the greatest thing for me, why I like him the most. Thanks.
Thank you. Over to you to define the role. Yeah.
As a timer, my duty is to time the prepared speeches, table topics, and evaluations. Today we have one prepared speech, and I believe the time is 5 to 7 minutes. So when the speaker reaches the minimum allotted time, I shall have my background changed to green color. And when the speaker reaches the midpoint, I shall display the yellow color screen. And when the speaker reaches the maximum allotted time, which is 7 minutes, I shall have my background changed to red color. There is a 30 seconds grace on either of the sides, and I shall present my report when called upon by the general evaluator. I shall share the timing guidelines for the other sections, which is table topics and the evaluation sections, and called upon. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Falgunan, for the timing guidelines. I want to call upon our third role player, and it's very interesting that it's about the ah counter. Ha ha ha, in a reverse way, if you really look at it, it's ah ah ah, the slurs that we would really like to avoid. Let me call upon our ah counter keeper for today, Toastmaster Sachin. I did ask him a similar question. So Toastmaster Sachin, if you can be on the focus screen, please.
Okay. The comic character I like Charlie Chaplin only.
Before you move on, I just wanted whoever is managing the Zoom master, can we have Toastmaster? Beautiful. Can we have that center focus? Okay, we are still struggling, but yeah, fantastic. Yes. Thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmaster Sachin. Your favorite comic character and one popular aspect about that character. It could be a dialogue or a scene that you wanted to recollect, which you found very hilarious or comical.
Okay. My favorite comic character is also Charlie Chaplin, and the famous hilarious incident I remembered. I heard about the story of Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin. Albert Einstein told Charlie Chaplin that people admire you even if you don't talk. Immediately, Charlie Chaplin replied him that people admire you even if they don't understand. And I think that is the most comic or a hilarious incident I can remember, or whatever I heard so far. From as far as the role point of view, as a counter, it's my responsibility to record all crutch words, all filler words. For example, you know, so such type of words distract the attention of the audience. So I will keep a track of all such words of the speaker, and at the end of the meeting, as and when called upon, I will present my report. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Seetharaman. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sachin. Let's now begin with our first part of the meeting, which is the prepared speeches. We have one prepared speech today. I would like to call upon our lead coach, Toastmaster Sapna, to share the speech.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
So
for
Sapna,
that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Toastmaster Sapna, for coming onto the focus. So before we have you narrate the objectives of today's speech, I would like you to reflect on the theme. The question that I have for you is if you could describe your favorite comic character, and if you were to evaluate that character, being a lead coach, if you were to really evaluate that character in a modified sort of Toastmaster evaluation speech, what would be the 30-second evaluation speech be like? Over to you, Toastmaster Sapna.
Okay, I'm very fond of Bollywood, so I would say it's one comedian who's made an impact on me has been Mahmood. I have loved watching his movies. And for me, if I have to evaluate his performance, I am nowhere closer to evaluate in a Toastmasters way. But I will say only 2 to 3 lines which are nicer is um, he's a versatile actor. His body language, his larger than life characters that he's portrayed on screen, specifically the one that he played in Padosan has really made a mark, because every time you think about that movie, the person that comes to your mind first is Mahmood. And that the cult song Mere Samne Wali Khidki Mein, he added that flavor. So during those times, the side actors were actually the main were the characters who were supporting the lead role, and if those characters were not there, probably the movie wouldn't have been successful. So I would say that he's played his character in a way that he's got emotions, he's got comedy, and then he's got a message as well in it. The body language, the kind of facial expressions that Mahmood has given in that movie is by far, I have not seen any other actor do that. I love the eye movement so much that all the emotions were always reflecting out of his eyes. And I think, yeah, that's what I can actually think about.
Excellent. 30 seconds plus. It's okay. And you covered as much of a Toastmaster evaluation of performance. Over to you for the speech guidelines, please.
Thank you very much for that. So our speaker today, Kunal, is attempting his project 1 from level 2 of dynamic leadership path. The project is understanding your communication style. Purpose statement: the purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others. The timer may note the timing of the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. I hand it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sapna. Let me now invite our speaker, Toastmaster Kunal Jani. If we can have the spotlight on him, please.